desire to do something with the young people who needed, needed some things to do, some investment in those young people. And so those two things sort of came together, and that's how the idea started. So there were more informal things in the early stages of the whole program, just going out and working with kids, doing various litter initiatives and some cleanup initiatives where community volunteers came together. Then it was the connection, I think it was Harlan Hale, environmental court at the time, who we made a connection with, and we thought, well, maybe we can make sure that kids who are graffiti offenders could do their community service hours as a part of cleaning up. And that was a way that we got kids involved in the work in the neighborhood. And so those things sort of came together. And the first year or so, maybe even 2 years, it was kind of anecdotal. I mean, there was no formalized effort to get, we would show up at the courts, we'd make indicate that we had an opportunity for community service to be done. But again, it was up to the judge and up to the family and all of that. But I think in the last year, we were able to formalize that, and that's what Jennifer would have been able to explain how that came about and the role that they played to formalize that. The parts that Anna and Michael were referring to, though, is this is how the community has gotten involved. There's folks who live in the neighborhood, it's just been contagious, like Michael shared. So we've got these brigades of folks that are out picking up trash now and dealing with things like graffiti and other things in the neighborhood. So that's how it bubbled up from the community.
I'm a very eclectic individual in my belief system. I've come to strongly buy into, for myself, the notion that energy begets a certain kind of energy. And one of the things that I kind of realized was that going in and doing my trash collection with what I call a righteous attitude was going to get the wrong kind of energy back. That unless I could go out there and, I'm no saint, and I'll swear sometimes and I'll carry on about drivers that are driving, blah, blah, blah. But to me, there's no point in doing anything unless you truly enjoy it and love it. I've spent a long lifetime, as many of us I'm sure do, of doing things because you feel you have to. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't do that anymore. I have the luxury of being a senior enough person to say no. But to do what I love to do begets a certain kind of energy about it. I walk around smiling. A smile attracts different kind of energy. If I walk around scowling or tight, as actually one of my doctoral students started doing when she began, she was really judgmental about it. It just gets animosity, and it gets people's backs up, and it gets resentment back. So I said to her, don't come with me, not unless you're really into this. You've got to enjoy it. So she's enjoying it. Most of the time, not all of the time. But yeah, sorry.
It seems like there's a number of positive benefits here. I mean, so what you're saying, you're also modeling the right behaviors for the neighborhood, which is like the woman who didn't want to do it because she was the only one, but now she's not going to be the only one. So you're beginning to start planting seeds that this is what people in the neighborhood should do.
Without the should word in it.
Yeah. This is what good citizens do. Or people want to keep. Now, the other thing is there's a lot of research that shows that fear of crime is connected to signs of disorder and graffiti and garbage in the street. So the woman who's afraid also will be less afraid if the neighborhood is cleaner. And when people are less afraid, they're more likely to use the neighborhood, walk around, which means more natural surveillance and more deterrence of deviance, etc. So it all kind of fits into either neighborhood improvement or neighborhood decline. And then the kids, of course. I mean, the potential benefit for them of using this opportunity. I guess I would be curious. I mean, we like to catch them at moments when you have some access to them, right? Because otherwise, and this is one, an emergency room, some people are shot, that's another one. And there's all these times we're beginning to learn where we can catch their attention. But the issue becomes, is it enough, and are there other things you can do? Like you talked about getting funding, what else might we consider doing? Is it enough time? They bonded with you, but did they come and go? And do you really feel that their behavior has changed now, or is that enough of a dosage of intervention to do not want to respond to that, or is there more that can be done at this opportunity, this moment?
I can certainly speak to the evolution of the program, or the transition that I referred to. And one of the things that happened, again, anecdotally, was some of the young people expressed an interest in something, a career choice or something that was of interest to them vocationally, or just a hobby. And because we knew folks who were maybe in that field, we were able to make some connections and create opportunities for those kids to get exposed to something they had interest in. Well, the reason for the transition, or the reason for trying to strengthen the capacity of the organizational effort and to get some additional funding for it, is so that we can go out and cultivate those types of relationships and create a process, a mechanism that will allow us to make those types of connections for young people. So that's the next step. While that's been happening, it hasn't been happening in any kind of formalized way. But that opportunity is there, and so we want to make that a core component of the program. And so that's hence the evolution of the transition. I'm not sure what else you want to say.
Precisely what I'd like to add, for those of you that don't know this neighborhood, there was a news piece on WSYX Channel 6 this week that this neighborhood is in fact the most violent neighborhood in all of Columbus, and one of the most violent neighborhoods in the United States, based on whatever that study was that did it. And the one thing, so when I moved into this neighborhood 9 months ago, I worked it in a way, and my friends were like, "Are you crazy for moving into that neighborhood?" Right? I was making a personal commitment, in addition to my professional commitment, to work on neighborhood revitalization, neighborhood safety. And what I learned from Dr. Wilkinson, and what I learned from these two fine people, I didn't know how to put into words until they empowered me with those words. And it was around respect, right? It was around respecting your neighbors, respecting young people. And so the interesting thing for me is when I'm out in my front yard doing gardening and two thugs are walking my way, I always stop what I'm doing and look up and say, "Hey, how you doing today? It's a nice day." Right? I have never, in the 9 months I've lived in the neighborhood, not been having received with an equally pleasant response back. I say, "Hello, how you doing? Great day." I've always been greeted back. What was really interesting, though, was the first time, and now it's been multiple times, where after two young guys had passed me, they interrupted their conversation and yelled back, "Your yard looks real nice.
Yeah.
You've been working hard."
Yeah.
Or, "I've been watching your yard. Looks great." Right? And I thought, how interesting that they stopped their conversation to not only just recognize me, because, I look different than them, right? They can clearly tell I'm not like them. They stopped what they were doing and acknowledged me, and then went out of their way to provide me a compliment. And this has happened multiple times, right? There's a lot of people walking through the
Same here.
right? What Robert and Anna had done is showed respect to young people, but everyone knows that they're not getting paid to show respect, right? And so we're out on Sunday mornings, I'm not being paid to do it, right? I mean, there are other neighbors, and it's always great that someone comes out of their house and walks out and says, "What are you doing?" And then they just say thank you, right? There's this environment of respect that is building in that neighborhood, right? That is contagious because good things are happening, and so more people are getting involved, they're coming out of their neighborhood, right? So the trend line is in the right direction, right? And so I thought if we really wanted to make, what I learned from Dr. Wilkinson was, if I want to live in a safer neighborhood, maybe the conversation has to be, well, what does respect look like? The teen group and the adult group, teens and adults don't typically respect teens, right? And so what I'm learning is how to just volunteer my respect because I want to as a human being and not because I'm paid to, and that's a beautiful thing.
And I think that's the value of it bubbling up from the community. When things are imposed, even if they're well-reasoned, well-researched, demonstrated as being effective,